Tampa Bay Buccaneers have somehow, by a pure miracle, won this football game. That's the only way I'm going to say it, okay? That's the only way I am going to say it, okay? There is so much to break down in this game of the ugliest of ugly wins. That is an understatement, everybody. Let's break it down slowly together. Okay? So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers start off 2-0. 20-19 is your final score as the Bucs win. Let's just take our time and break this down. Starting off with the offense. Baker Mayfield, 25 of 38, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He was sacked 4 times in this game. We're going to get to this right now. Luke Gedeke had to leave the game because of his foot injury that he had been dealing with leading up to this game. Tried to play on that foot injury. Did not happen at the end of the day. Couldn't play the entire game. He had to leave. Charlie Heck came in as your starting right tackle throughout the remainder of the game. Luke Gedeke left about a little bit into the second quarter, I believe. Now, your starting offensive line was Graham Barton at left tackle, Michael Jordan at left guard, Ben Bredesen at center, Cody Mock at right guard, and Charlie Heck at right tackle. That means that the only offensive lineman in that group that is either A, playing his original position, or B, is a starter for their position was Cody Mock. Okay? So the offensive line, safe to say, is pretty banged up. Your 2 best offensive linemen, your 2 $20+ million per year offensive tackles were not available for the majority of this game. And you certainly felt it, okay? Mayfield was pressured a lot throughout this game. Danielle Hunter, Sheldon Rankins, Will Anderson Jr. were getting after Mayfield consistently, okay? And Mayfield was pressured a ton, had a couple of iffy throws throughout this game, a big one being pretty much should have been interception on a throw that was intended for Emeka Egbuka. Would have been a touchdown, but Baker Mayfield felt the pressure, could not fully step into the throw, and instead almost threw an interception. The Buccaneers were very lucky to get away from that without a pick, okay? But Mayfield obviously was part of the hero of the day, and I'm going to be doing a film breakdown on this whenever the time comes as well. But it was 4th and 10 at the Buccaneers' 32-yard line. Mayfield runs up through the middle of the pocket, avoids the pressure, gets 15 yards to get the first down and extend what would be the game-winning drive. Regardless of what you think about Mayfield as a thrower, as a quarterback, whatever it may be, one thing you can't deny is that this dude is an absolute competitor, will play to the absolute last chance he can possibly get, and he did that in this game. Okay, he just did at the end of the day. That run saved the game for Mayfield. It literally saved the day. Speaking of running, let's talk about the running backs. So, Bucky Irving had a great day. 17 carries, 71 yards, no touchdowns, but he also had 6 catches for 50 yards. So a 121 total scrimmage yard game for Bucky Irving. That's fantastic. You love to see that. Rachaad White was the hero of the day in terms of getting the game-winning touchdown. 10 carries, 65 yards, the game-winning score. Mayfield, as I said, had some rushing in this game, 33 rushing yards on 3 carries in this game. Also, Rachaad White had 1 receiving yard in the game as well. So, both of the Bucs running backs were integral to the offensive success today. Mike Evans led the way with 56 receiving yards, 11 targets, and 5 catches for 56 yards. Bucky Irving was right behind him. Emeka Egbuka had another touchdown in this game, 29 yards and a touchdown on 7 targets. He now has 3 touchdowns through 2 games. He did a great job in this game as well, just making a play here or there. He did have a crucial drop At the end of the game, though, that needs to be cleaned up. Cade Otton had a drop in the game as well, which was very, very unfortunate. Baker Mayfield did also have a fumble in this game. Thankfully, Rachaad White got on top of it and covered it up. That was a great play as well. So, yes, Mayfield did technically almost have a turnover, which was just a crazy game. A crazy play, I should say. Danielle Hunter hit Mayfield's arm. It bounced up, hit the ball in his other hand, and then that caused the fumble. So the offensive line, just to go back to that real quick before we move to the defense, I thought the offensive line ran block very well. Whenever your team's getting 30 carries for 169 yards and a touchdown, it's tough to complain about that. I thought the offensive line ran block very well. Pass blocking wise, not so much. And again, I'm not going to bash the offensive line too much for that situation because, again, the only guy who was either playing his original position or was a starter was Cody Mock. So I'm not going to absolutely demolish the offensive line that's put together by duct tape right now, okay? Offensively, there's a lot of things to clean up, though. There's a lot of miscues to clean up. Just the clunkiness of the offense was still there, especially in the second half. In the first half, I felt like it was better in terms of the clunkiness and things along those lines. It was better in the first half than in the second half, but you still need to play a complete game offensively, in my opinion. Defensively, first half was a little bit rough, in my opinion, okay? There were some ups, there were some downs. The first drive of the game for Houston was a touchdown. Then they scored on the second drive as well to make it 10-7. After that, they would only score 9 points after that, and it would be in the fourth quarter. So the defense did clamp down. They did force 1, 2, 3, 4 punts in a row and a turnover on downs. So the defense did step up after that rough initial start. I may dive into this a little bit deeper, though, as well. But there were certainly some guys on defense that played good. Tyke Smith had a sack, had a couple tackles for loss. I thought he played great. Some people might trash Zyon McCollum, but I thought he and Jamel Dean really stood up well in this game. I really do believe that, guys. Stroud had 207 passing yards and 1 touchdown in this game. Nico Collins had 9 targets today, 3 catches for 52 yards and a touchdown. He led the way. So, nobody really got super on top of the Buccaneers secondary. Benjamin Morrison also rotated in there a little bit in this game. He had a couple of plays in there. Christian Izien made a play or two in the game as well. But Tyke Smith, Zyon McCollum, Winfield, and Jamel Dean, I thought that those 4 guys really did step up against this Texans pass rush. I really do believe that. Now, couple of things that I want to see improve. Number 1, missed opportunities. Lavonte David, the captain, right, dropped a surefire interception that probably would have ended the game. That was unfortunate. I hated to see that. Servassier Dennis, look, another week where he did fine in the pass rush, in the run defense, I should say. Pass coverage, he is a legitimate liability. And one thing I thought that was so interesting was the 2-point conversion for Houston at the very end of the game. You saw Deion Jones in there instead of Servassier Dennis, and Deion Jones got the sack to prevent Houston from getting that 2-point conversion. So instead of it being 21, the Houston Texans only had 19. So I am curious to see if going forward we will see more Deion Jones, because right now the Servassier Dennis experience is not working out the way the Buccaneers thought it was going to work out. And it's worrying at this point because he is quite frankly a liability in the middle of that defense and pass coverage through 2 weeks. That's just an absolute fact in my opinion. Lavonte David had a half sack. Greg Gaines, surprisingly, had a really good day getting pressure. Elijah Roberts had a half sack. The Bucs did finish with 3 sacks in this game, but to be honest, folks, a lot of it came off of blitzing. You did not see Yaya Diaby or Hassan Reddick get a lot of pressure in this game. It was very frustrating. In the case of Kalijah Kancey, he left with a pec injury. He was ruled out for this game. We'll see how long he's going to be out going forward. Elijah Roberts came in and made a little bit of noise. Logan Hall, pretty quiet. Vita Vea still does Vita Vea things, and we all know and love that. But Yaya Hassan, very quiet today. Did Braswell even play? It certainly didn't feel like it. Anthony Nelson was there. I think one play I remember of him getting pressure. So these are the types of things where it's like, what's the game plan here long term? Because the Houston Texans do not have the best offensive line in the world. In fact, I think they have a very poor offensive line. You still could not get pressure consistently from your outside edge rushers. We need to see something change. We need to see somebody either A, step up, or B, bring in somebody who can step up. Point blank, period. Simple as that. But I'm not going to harp on the defense too much. They really did help out at the end of this ball game. They really did. I mean, to force, again, 4 punts in a row and a turnover on downs at the end of, before the fourth quarter or going into the fourth quarter, that's huge. So the defense did some good work in my opinion, but I am going to be a little nitpicky and focus on a couple of guys. Now, special teams. The return game was nothing to write home about today. A lot of guys just didn't get a lot of opportunities in my opinion. We need to have a very legitimate conversation about special teams here. Chase McLaughlin missed another kick today. A big kick is what he missed because McLaughlin had the chance to get the Buccaneers to go up 17-10. To go up 17-10, and he misses that field goal. Then the Buccaneers defense gets a turnover on downs. Then the Bucs have their punt blocked by the Texans. The defense holds the Texans offense at their own 35 to a field goal. The Buccaneers have to punt. The Texans return said punt 53 yards down to the Buccaneers' 26-yard line. So 2 abysmal punting plays in a row. The Texans score their go-ahead touchdown 19-14. The Buccaneers, thank the good Lord, were able to score their own game-winning touchdown, and then that was the end of your ball game. We need to have a very legitimate conversation here about special teams. I think that the Bucs will and should bring a kicker to their practice squad. Could be Ryan Coe, somebody they had in the offseason and training camp and preseason and did a very good job in regards to that. Could be somebody else. But McLaughlin now, it's getting worrying. It's getting concerning, and it is something worth paying attention to. Real quick, by the way, guys, I do want to say one more shout out to the proud sponsor of this channel. It is Sleeper. If you guys use the code MrBucs, you guys will get a $100 deposit match up to $100. That is whenever you use the code Sleeper. Thank you so much to the proud sponsor of this channel. Make sure you guys download it and enjoy sports the way they were meant to be. That is together. But we need to have a very legitimate conversation here about this special teams group, because this is the second week in a row where McLaughlin struggled. This is the first game, and it was a notable game, where on 2 punts, the special teams unit looked atrocious. I mean, downright disgusting at the end of the game. That's bad. That's really bad. And I don't know if it's execution. I don't know if it's coaching. It's probably a little bit of both. So it needs to improve. Look, at the end of the day, the Buccaneers did win this game. They are 2-0. They are in sole possession of the NFC South, and that's a beautiful thing. We love that, right? We love to see that like nobody's business. But you better believe there is stuff that they need to improve on. You better believe that. And we're going to have to wait and see if they do improve on those things, if they do make some proper changes and are able to get the most out of their guys going forward. But at the end of the day, the Buccaneers did get a win. We love to see it. They are 2-0.